Hey guys, it's me. Okay, this is the Swedish Braid folded petal burlap wreath tutorial. I had actually recorded this in class the other day, but I made a boo-boo. I made a boo-boo when I was folding my burlap, so it made a difference in how the wreath turned out. And it had been a while since I made one of these, and I wasn't feeling well that day, so I apologize. But if you're just seeing this video for the first time, just forget about everything I just said, and we're going to go forward, and we're going to do it the right way, and it will come out beautiful. So as you can see, I actually have I believe this is a 14 or 15-inch straw wreath form that I got from Joann Fabrics. Now, thinking back on it, I think I probably should have gone with the foam because the pins were a little bit difficult to stick into the straw. And when I say pins, I'm talking about these things. They're either called floral pins or greening pins. There's different terms for them. And they were a little bit difficult to stick into the straw, especially since I also wrapped my straw wreath in some Dollar Tree mesh that I had. I was going to wrap it in ribbon, but I didn't have enough red ribbon, and I wanted red. So you actually don't even really have to use pins. You can use glue. And what I'm actually going to do is a combination of both, because I've already actually laid one petal down, if you can see that, because we're going to start on the outside. Now, if you were in my class the other day, you can immediately see the difference in how I folded my burlap, but I'm going to show you it's all pretty folded in pretty tightly. You have your little opening there for your petal, and all I did was I placed one pin at the bottom, and then I took a little dab of glue and I glued it down to my wreath form because I want mine to lay flat. There are some tutorials out there where they don't do that, and they sort of stick up, and I don't like that. I like mine to lay a little bit flatter. So I'm going to show you exactly what I mean by that. And we're going to do our first fold here. So don't worry if your burlap is fraying on the ends, because those are all going to be folded in. I think what I'm going to try to do too, in fact, I saw one online the other day. Someone actually made one of these wreaths with shelf liner. That was a really cool idea, because you can cut your shelf liner into 5 by 5 inch squares or 6-inch squares and do the folding the same exact way. You can do this method with fabric, regular fabric. That's why it's called a Swedish burlap, a braided wreath, or folded petal fabric wreath. So let me go ahead and show you. I actually have 5 by 5 inch squares here. And I bought this burlap by the yard. You can see it's, I took these pieces, I kind of took apart. I took apart my wreath and I'm redoing it. So this is actually fraying a little bit more than it should, but again, they're going to be folded. I bought this burlap by the yard at Hobby Lobby. I got 2 yards of red and 1 yard of white. You can also use poly burlap if you want. Poly burlap doesn't fray as much as it's not real burlap, but let's get started here. So I know I promised you guys I would redo this, and I don't want you to wait any longer here. So you take your 5 by 5 inch square, okay, and you fold it in half, like that. I need to get a new camera where I can zoom. I pretty much have my camera stationary now, but so you fold it in half so the ends meet each other, like that, okay? And then you're going to take your corner and you're going to fold it down to the middle, like that, okay? If you can see that. So it was like that. I took one corner and I folded it down to the middle. Now you're going to notice when you're cutting your burlap that your squares might not be totally square. If you find that that happens when you get a piece and you're folding it, just cut the excess off to make it a square. It's not a big deal. So then you take your other side and you fold that down, okay? So then you have a piece that ends up looking like that. Now, again, don't worry too much about the frays. What you're really going to want to focus on is making sure that your little petal opening here is a uniform size. And what I mean by that is, go back and look at the one that you've already laid. down. And you just want to make sure that when you're laying your other petal, that your little openings are, you know, pretty much the same size. I'm going to need to stand up here. Okay, so let me look at this here. Because what you're going to do is, if you can see, you're going to lay the second petal down so the top of it starts at the bottom of the other one, okay? Now you're thinking to yourself, well, wait a second, that one doesn't look like that first one. That's where I made the mistake in the video. When you're making your petals, you don't want to pin them down like that. What you want to do after you make your petal is you want to fold the ends in like that, okay? So your finished petal is going to be like that. You can see that, okay? These ends have to be folded in. So when you're placing your pin, you want to make sure that you get it through all of that. So let's go and lay our second piece down, okay? It doesn't look exactly like the first one. Don't panic. It's, you know, try to get it as close as an opening as you can to the first one, okay? Doesn't have to be identical, okay? So then you take your pin, and you want to try to place it all the way through those folds as best as you can. You're grabbing all of it. Just like that, okay? Now you can see that one's actually laying pretty flat. This one I had to glue down because it was just popping right up. But this one's laying pretty flat on top of that one, so I don't think I'm going to add any glue onto that. But there's my first two petals. This one looks like it's a little bit wider. But again, you know, I'm not going to, these are going to be on the sides. Now if you want to go through as you're going along and cut your frays, you can do that. These are all going to be hidden by your next petal, so you don't have to worry about your frays. So let's do that again. Okay, take your square, fold it in half, fold it down again to the middle, and then down again to the middle. So you have that, and then you take your ends, and you fold them in. So you have a nice little condensed little petal. Go back on. The top of the next one is going to be meeting the bottom of the last one. So you're layering them on top of each other. And that's that. Now that one's popping up a little bit. You see that? I don't like how that one's popping up. So I have my glue gun ready here. I'm just going to put a little dab of glue under there because you don't want that other pin to show either. I'm going to put a little dab of glue there and just glue that down. So let me grab my glue gun. Okay. And this is where it might be a good idea to maybe wear some rubber gloves, or I got a little bit of glue on that, but I'm not going to worry about that because it's, once it dries, I can peel it right off. Wear some rubber gloves or wear some of those little rubber thummy things so you can press that down without burning yourself. Because I just want that to lay, I want that to lay flat. And you can see a little bit of glue there, but I'll be able to peel that off. And that's going to be in the back anyway, so just be careful when you're putting this. This is why I do not like working with hot glue. You can see how they're nice. They're laying a little bit flatter now. Okay, so the way this pattern is going to work, it's going to be 3 red and 1 white. 3 red, 1 white, all the way around. So now we have our white piece folded in half, down in the middle, down in the middle. So you have that. My light is bright, I'm sorry. And then you take the ends and fold those over for your little petal. Lay it on top of the other one. So the top meets the bottom of the last one. These pins are going in a lot easier now than they did the other day. And there you go. Okay, that one's popping up a little bit. I'm going to put a little dab of glue. I'm going to try to be careful not to let it get stringy on me. This is why I hate working with hot glue. Because it just can't help those little stringy things. They just, when you pull away, they're there. I think I managed to not have it on that one. So glue it down a little bit. I've seen some where all they use is hot glue. They don't use pins at all. That little piece isn't going to come off, but that's going to be in the back, so I'm not going to panic about that. So then I have my, and there you go. And then I have my white one. You can see how they're laying flatter. Don't look at my glue there. Actually, I'll show you that side. You can see how they're laying a little bit flatter. So we're going to go all the way around like that, okay? What I'm going to do in the interest of time is I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to continue going around the outside, and then when I'm done doing that, I'm going to come back and I'll show you the rest. I'll be right back. Hey guys, I'm back. Okay, it seemed like a second for you. It was probably a good 20 minutes or so for me. This is a little bit of a time-consuming project, but it'll be pretty when it's done, I assure you. So I am done with the outside of the wreath. Okay, I put all my petals around the outside. I pinned them at the bottom, and I did a little dab of glue just to keep them down a little bit. And you can see I went all the way around. The one thing I wanted to point out to you is when you get to the end of your row, okay, I sort of had to cut quite a bit off of this last white one so it would fit. So this white piece here is really just this top. There's nothing underneath here because I had to try to get it to fit, and there was too much material. So you can see I sort of like wedged it in, I glued it in there so it looks uniform. But that's all of the top, or I'm sorry, the side. And now we're going to go to the inside, okay? Now, be very cognizant when you're doing this, when you start your inside row, that they're going in the same direction as the outside. Just be careful when you start that. So it doesn't matter what color you start with. I'll just start with red. We're going to do the same exact little fold. I'll even show you that again. Fold it in half. Down one side, down the other side. You have your wide open petal. You don't want it to look like that. You want it to be as small as possible. Fold the ends over. So that is going to be your end petal piece, all nice and neatly folded in. Don't worry about the phrase there. Okay. Which direction am I going in here? So you want it to go in the same direction. It's going to be kind of hard to show you the inside, but you're just doing the same that you did with the outside. You're just pinning it at the bottom. And that's that. And there's my first red piece in there, if you can see that. And I'm going to go with two more. So 3 red, 1 white. Again, the top of this petal is going to meet the bottom of the last petal that you did. You can see that. Again, it's kind of hard to show you the inside as I'm doing it. Just doing the same on the inside as you did on the outside. Some of these pins just do not want to go in. And I think it's because it's the straw wreath. Do not buy a straw wreath. I'm sorry I even suggested it. It's very difficult to get your pins in. So I don't think I'm going to glue these pieces down on the inside because they seem to be laying pretty flat. The petals seem to be laying pretty flat on top of each other. The only reason I really wanted to pin or to glue it is just to keep it as flat as possible. I didn't want these pieces lifting up and then I could see my pin underneath. So I have 2 red on the inside. I'm going to do 1 more. Once you get folding, again, just be cognizant of your little opening here so they're all kind of uniform. You don't want one real big one and then another small one. You want them to kind of all be the same size. You might find that the inside's going to be a little bit challenging because of the angle. You're trying to hold your wreath up, your wreath form, and you're trying to pin it at the same time, so it might be a little bit challenging, but thankfully the inside is not that big. Okay, so 3 red. We have 3 red on the inside, if you can see that. Now we're going to do a white. I've got my wreath upside down right now, actually. That's the right side up. I guess I should dump these out. It makes it a little bit easier, huh? There we go. I find that sometimes it's easier if you put the pin in at an angle. Sometimes, as I struggle with getting this pin in, as I say that, I don't really know what possessed me to buy the straw form this time. I think it's because it was a little bit less expensive than the styrofoam, surprisingly enough, but it's just hard to get those pins in. Okay, so now I have my 3 red, oh, you can see that, and my 1 white on the inside. Now I'm going to pause again, because I don't think you want to sit here and watch me go all the way around. It's a little bit time consuming. And I think I'm going to move this one up a little bit. It's not quite there. I want, like I said, it's important. You want the top of your last petal, okay, the top of your last petal to be at the bottom of your, the top of your next petal to be at the bottom of your last one, so they kind of meet. So I'm going to pause it again and continue going around the inside, and then we'll be back and we'll do the top. I'll be right back. Hey guys, I'm back. Okay. I actually started doing the top a little bit, but you can see I did all of the inside. The inside's all done exactly the way I did the outside. Now when you start laying your pieces on the top, it's important that you want to keep your white pieces, like you don't want to put 2 white pieces next to each other. I kind of made the mistake of doing that over here. And so I ended up doing 4 of the red, and I'm going to do 1 white. I'm going to keep doing 4 red and 1 white all the way around because I don't want any white pieces next to each other. But try to lay them as close as you can, like almost on top of the ones on the inside. And you can see how I did that. They're very, very close. And I'm going to lay another one down so you can see what I mean by like almost laying it on top of the other one. You want to cover that. Like, can you see how the ones that are in the middle, you can kind of see some frays a little bit. You want to cover that, okay? So lay it as close as you can, like almost on top of it, to the ones here in the middle, and then place your pin. Also, make sure you cover the pin from the one above it. I went down a little bit too far. You don't want to see any of those pins. Okay, that's going to be covered. Don't worry about that because we're going to go around again. So let me get another white. You know what I ended up doing? This is actually the back of my wreath. This was the front. And this is the back because I can see my pins I used to attach my mesh. But you know what? that's going to be covered. I'm not even going to worry about it. I wasn't even paying attention when I started laying them down. That's going to be covered. I just assumed this was going to be the back because that's where my pins were, but we're going to cover those anyway, so I'm not even going to worry about it. Just keep laying them around. Again, the top of the last one that you lay will go to the bottom of the previous one, or the top of the next one that you lay will go to the bottom of the previous one. You can see that. Okay, but you can see how nice and tiny your little petals are. I like them tiny like that. I don't like the big petals that I've seen on some of the wreaths. I like them tiny. And you're not going to have to glue these down because they're laying pretty flat. Just the ones on the outside you kind of wanted to glue. Get them to lay a little flatter. Again, if you have anything you can put on your fingers to help with the pushing of the pins because your thumb's going to get a little bit sore. So I'm doing 4 red and 1 white. Because I don't want 2 white pieces next to each other. And if I put a white there, I'm not going to want that. I want... Okay, so I'm just going to continue doing that. Okay. Make sure when you lay your pieces over, you're putting it up far enough to cover that pin and any frays. And I'm going to pause it one more time and then come back. And then we're probably going to end up doing 2 more rows. I would think 2 more would fit over here just to cover everything. So I will be right back one more time. Ugh. Well, you know what? I thought I paused it. I guess I didn't. I'm still recording. My bad. Hey guys, okay, I'm back. Almost done here. This has actually taken me a couple of hours to do, but it looks really, really nice. If you can see, I did. So we started with the outer row here, okay? And I went in and I did the inner row, okay? And then so far I have 1, 2, 3 more rows, okay? And I placed them very close to each other, if you can see that. Very, very close, so you can't see any gaps. If there were any little areas where they were lifting up and you could see the pins, I just dabbed a little bit of glue, but it looks really, really good. I'm going to do 1 more row because I still have some room here. So I'm going to do that 1 more row, and then when I come back, I will show you how to attach your embellishments. So I'm going to go 1 more time, and I'll be right back. Thanks, guys. Hey, guys, I'm back. Unfortunately, I ran out of red burlap. I have a little bit of white left that would have given me enough to finish, but I have just this. I had just this much left to do on my last row here. So I'm probably short. Let me count here. 1, 2, 3. I would say maybe 10 pieces of burlap I'm short, which I never thought I would run out because I bought 2 yards of it and there was a lot. So not a big deal. I'll go back to Hobby Lobby. I have to go back there anyway and get some meshes on sale next week. 50% off, so I need to get some mesh for my snowman wreath. They have actually 6-inch mesh at Hobby Lobby in the white, which would be perfect for the snowman wreath for the door. So you really can't even see that I ran out. I mean, I've got most of it done, just this last row. So again, we did one row on the outside, the very outside here, okay? And then I did one on the inside, and then I did 1, 2, 3 on the outside. Actually 4, I'm so sorry. So we have one on the very outside, one on the very inside, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4. I was going around again because I wanted it to be very full. So 3 red, 1 white. That was the pattern that I was trying to do. I did end up having some white next to each other, but it still looks nice. I think it came out great. I like the way the petals are folded, the smaller petals, like I said. This is where I have to add my other row. If you see some of the petals lifting up a little bit and you want them to lay a little bit flatter, again, just go in with your glue gun, add a little bit of glue. So you don't want that to lift up and you don't want to see your pin underneath. You can definitely glue it down and it'll hold it in place and it'll lay nice and flat for you. Now I really wanted to show you how I added my embellishments, but the wreath is not finished. So, but I can tell you what I was going to do, and then I'll post the finished product after I get to Hobby Lobby. And I have these that I got from Joann's, and they're just pearl floral stems, all right, and they were a lot longer. I cut off the tip, and there's 2 of them, because what I want to do is I'm going to tie them together here, okay, so I can go around my wreath like that. Okay, now you're probably going to want to put this together before you finish your wreath, because what's ultimately going to happen, I have a little bit of really pretty red ribbon here that I'm going to use to tie it all together. Just like that, make a nice little bow. This is just some unwired red ribbon. I can't remember where I got it from. I think it was left over from when I did the ribbon wreath. Just a pretty little thin red ribbon, if you can see that. I'm not really making the bow perfect right now because this is not finished. You're going to want to tie these together, okay? I could even just leave it like that, just kind of like twist it around a little bit. As far as anchoring it in place, a little hot glue is fine. Just fix them the way you want them to be, you know, nice, and mess with it a little bit, you know, so it looks nice. Spread them out a little bit. And when you're ready and you're happy with the way that you like, you know, how they look, then you can just put a little hot glue on there in a couple of different spots. I don't really want to wire it on. I don't want to mess with the burlap. I don't want to. So I could even just leave it like that if I wanted to. But I also have this. So what I'm ultimately going to do, I have another piece of pearl here that kind of came off. I can glue that back on. I don't want to have to waste any of it. What I'm ultimately going to do is I'm going to take some of this greenery here. This was actually a really long stem, a long floral stem that I got from Hobby Lobby. Okay, and they're all kind of attached. So I'm going to take my snippers I'm just going to snip some of these off, and I'm going to run them along the pearls so they kind of go, so you have a little bit of green, like in the picture, you'll have a little bit of green under there, okay? And that's going to be done separately before I put the whole thing on. And I really want to do that now for you, but I can't because my wreath is not finished. I ran out of burlap. So, but I hope you understood the technique in the folding of the petals. Again, I could even just leave it like that, but I thought it would look nice with a little bit of green on there as well, like you saw in the picture. Okay. Really, the folding of the petals is the most important thing. And, you know, I think I pretty much explained how to do that. That's how it's actually going to be when it's done, with a little bit of the greenery underneath, and you can certainly glue that on. And I'm going to get some more burlap. I'm going to finish it, and then I will post a picture. But that's it, and it is time consuming. I think I started this at, what time is it, 2:30 my time, and I did pause a few times, and it's about 5 o'clock my time now, so it was about 2.5 hours. And once you get going, it will go pretty quickly. If you have any questions, I'm here to help you. But that's it, and I appreciate your patience in waiting for this. And like I said, as soon as I finish and adding my burlap, I will go ahead and I'll post the picture. All right, guys, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.